Thank you for tuning in to Mr. Cliff's Toy Shop. On today's review, we take a look at the Mythical Legion's Lord Draguul. Today I'll be reviewing this figure in the following categories: accessories, articulation, design, is it essential to your collection, functionality, and price. Once all scores are totaled, I give you my opinion if this figure is a pass or a purchase. So I jumped down a rabbit hole, jumped into a new line in 2021, which I did not want to, and it's Mythic Legions. This is my very first figure. Let's open them up and let's see if I'm going to continue down the rabbit hole. So for accessories, we receive much more than I initially thought that you get. You really don't see a lot of these items displayed in the box. Most of them are behind the figure. So starting up at the top, you get two interchangeable armor pieces. Maybe interchangeable is not the right word, but you get two armor pieces that you can connect and remove from the figure, and I can't wait to put these on to see how they look. And then you get this extraordinary head sculpt, and I think that this will be the head sculpt that I am going to go with. This thing right here looks fantastic. The blue highlights, the red eyes, I am really digging this. Then you get a soft cape, very flimsy, though I think with the figure it should work. We receive a crossbow with a string that can actually be drawn back. However, no arrows. And we receive an axe. We receive this item, which I have no clue what this is, where it goes. We'll figure out if I can figure out what to do with it. We get what I'm assuming is a belt. And then we get this shield. So very pleased with the accessories. The only wants that I want here are arrows, of course, to go with the crossbow, and some additional hands would have been nice. So for overall accessories, I'm going to give this figure an 8 out of 10. So for articulation, we're going to leave the helmeted head on. So the head is able to look, wow, way up. I was not expecting that. It's able to look all the way down. It does rotate, have a good amount of pivot, no shift back and forth. The arms I am worried about. So the arms go out to the side about that much. They do rotate a full 360. No upper bicep cut. Next point of rotation, I think, is at the elbow. It is at the elbow. The elbow is on a single hinge, bending it only that much. Going down to the wrist will be the next point of rotation. The gauntlets also rotate, but that's because they're not attached. And the wrists are on a hinge. So with the torso, no floating piece. This one piece is solid. So it moves forward that much, backwards that much. Good amount of rotation, as well as you get some pivot. So with the legs, they kick all the way out, full 360. They're able to go up a good amount. They're able to go back. They're able to go back, a good amount. They do rotate. I believe you have another point of rotation. You do. So, sort of a thigh, not a thigh cut, but you get movement here. And I think I like that design a bit better. So down at the knee, you do have rotation at this armor piece. Going down to the foot, the next point of rotation, the foot is able to go back that much, forward a good amount, and it's able to pivot in and out a great amount. The knees are single jointed, or appear to be, bending in about that much. I failed to mention, but there is no butterfly joint. So for articulation, some areas work well. The head and the legs are phenomenal. Where we need some added range of mobility will be in the arms and torso. So for overall articulation, I'll be giving this figure a 7 out of 10. So for design, this should be relatively easy to score. The reason I say that, there's no source material to base this off. As far as I know, this property isn't from any comic books, cartoons, or movies. I do know, however, that this is to pay homage to Hordak from Masters of the Universe Classics, and I think they did a great job with that. So just focusing on the head sculpt quickly, I am really digging this head sculpt, this vampiric look, the big ears, that bat face. I'm really digging that. And I also like the armor a great deal. The fact that you can interchange it is even better. All the paint apps appear to be clean. I wouldn't mind if the silver bits were more metallic, similar to here. But I guess this was done purposefully. The blue looks just like the color of Hordak. I don't like, however, the hinges. Wish that they were closer to that color. but I do like the design of the boots. Pretty to my surprise, I like the design of the boots, being that we have the black, red, silver, and kind of back to black. But I think it works well. And I do like the small details such as the ribbons or pins painted around him. Now, with this part, we'll talk about that in the functionality aspect of it. But I think they did a great job with this figure. And for overall design, I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10. So is this figure essential to your collection? I'll be actually skipping this part as I know nothing about Mythic Legions. I did some research. It doesn't appear that any of the characters are based on any source material, with the exception of some of the homage-based characters when it comes to Masters of the Universe Classic. So who am I to come in years after this line has been running and say what figures are essential? So we'll be jumping directly to functionality. So for functionality, this is going to be a bit weird as we're going in reverse. So starting with the head, when you're swapping out the head, you want to make sure to squeeze this upper part here. The collar is soft. The reason I say to squeeze it, as I remove the head a few times, the peg head came off with it. So make sure you squeeze that. You see what I'm talking about? It came off again. We're not going to worry about that. So here, we're sort of going to undress the figure, but I want to start with this cape, as I've been having challenges with this cape here. So my thought process is that the cape has 4 holes. I'm assuming that the 2 holes here are meant to be pegged in by the shoulder pads, and the 2 holes on the bottom are meant to go around the wrist like so. I don't know for sure, as this figure did not come with instructions. So let's remove the pads. In order to do so, you simply pull. There's 1 peg that plugs in the back. There's no peg in the front. So this is what I mean when I think the pegs, or the cape, excuse me, should go around the peg, but it does not line up evenly. I'll show you. You can clearly see where it is, and you can see how far apart they are. I'm going to assume for a moment that this is correct. If someone knows, if someone deals with Mythic Legions, please let me know. What I would have preferred is for a singular hole to go at the collar part and then just to come back. Especially being that this part is detachable, which I didn't know, and I want to see something for a moment. I want to see if the head actually looks better without that piece. Maybe. I'm not sure which one I like better. Oh, that's a look at his head without that piece. And then the cape itself is just flimsy and it feels cheap. Now, the figure stands fine on its own. I think you've seen that. I want to jump to the legs for a moment because I think the legs are phenomenal. I really like how they engineered what looks like a singular piece. However, there's a second piece here, and the leg floats on top of it, allowing you to rotate it. So it doesn't have that cut, but it gives you the same function. And I think this is what companies need to do moving forward. This is a fantastic design. So as my camera is about to die, I want to hurry up with the functionality part. So let's start with some of his accessories, starting with this axe. I'm going to assume that it goes in this hand. I believe both hands are the same. And he holds it very tightly. Let's pull that off. Let's go with this shield. We're going to plug it in this hand. And he holds that very tightly. Let's see how the crossbow works. So I don't see a good way for him to hold a crossbow, with the exception of something similar to this. Not great, but I guess it works. Now with the crossbow, what I'm assuming to be the belt, I think this silver piece goes here and you can hold it. However, that may be for the axe. The axe part is much larger, but I think it will fit. Yeah, it'll fit. I am not sure which one it goes to, and I am not sure where this goes. Yeah. Sorry, there are no instructions. All right, so before my camera completely cut off, and just to keep you in the loop, I'm shooting this part days after the original part. So I think we bypassed the part with the belt. I just want to share, I have no idea exactly where this attaches. It would seem odd to put this over the shoulder, excuse me, under the arm and around the shoulder, as then the axe would be sort of diagonal. I feel that either it replaces this, and I am not sure if this part is removable, or if you pop the torso loose, you can then place this around. Being that this is my first Mythical Legions and I am not familiar with the anatomy of this body and how the components come apart, if they do, I will not be snapping apart my torso. So we're just going to be putting this to the side. Moving on to the wrists. So with all figures who carry weapons, you should have hinges that go up and down versus side to side. I just lost where I was with my son calling me. Now, the preferred method is always a ball peg, but if not the ball peg, up and down, not side to side. So I will be deducting a point for that. In addition to the hands, when I remove them, it felt like it was going to break. And unfortunately, if it does break, we don't have any additional pegs that come with this, nor do we have any additional hands. Just looking at parts of the costume, I like that this here is soft goods as well as this, so that allows for the legs to really move all the way. I think I covered this part already, but I am really impressed with how they did the legs. This is something that many companies need to duplicate. All right, so I don't want to spend too much more time on functionality, as I may have went through a lot of this. So I get the singular torso piece, being that this is armor, and it does move decent enough for what it is. So for overall functionality, the accessories work well with the figure. I would have liked to have some additional hands. I will be giving this figure an 8 out of 10. So for pricing, this figure comes in at $49.99. That's before taxes. That is before shipping. I'm going to say shipping, let's just throw in $1 for that. Add in $5 for taxes, you're looking at $56. So now is this figure worth the price of admission? So let's see what he comes with. In terms of accessories, you really get a decent spread. It is quite surprising that we get so many accessories, but don't receive additional hands. So the hands are definitely something that is missing. Aside from those things, I guess it's really what's the lore for these figures. I'm assuming that they will scale in with your Masters of Universe Classic, or maybe you can just drop them in some of your other lines. But so for pricing, I can't help but to compare this to the Masters of the Universe Classics, and I think those figures were going for about $27. This figure is nearly double that price, and it's not double the action figure. Now, one thing that will make this price justifiable if they're using new scopes throughout the figures, and being that this is the only character that I have, I don't know if that's the case. So for pricing, I think this should be more in that $40 range, so I'm going to give this figure an 8 out of 10. That should give this character an overall cliff score of... So now is this figure a pass or a purchase? So I think this is a pretty cool character. I think you can mix and match this in a few of your different action figure lineups. Of course, with your Masters of the Universe Classics, I'm assuming anyway, we will throw some Masters of the Universe figures next to them and see if they scale well. But I have to say, for my first offering for Mythical Legions, I like this figure. And for me, this is a purchase. So here's Lord Draguul by himself. All right, so for the comparison I've been waiting for, here he is next to Hordak, and I felt that the Masters of the Universe figures were a bit bigger. Not that they can't work together. So we may spend a few seconds here. Head is pretty close, but this one is more bat-like. You get the red and black, but this one it has the Horde symbol. As I mentioned, the blues are, I want to say they're exact. And I like what they did here to match this piece on the waist. Turn them around a little bit. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Let's throw in a Horde Trooper. Let's see if we can. Let's throw in Prince Adam, whose feet are a little bit weak. Let's throw in Playmates Bebop. This is not the original figure. And for our last one, let's throw in the Horde bots. So I want to thank you for tuning in to Mr. Cliff's Toy Shop. I hope to see you during the next review.